GPeC Summit. It's Jono, Alderson, Special Ops at Yoast. I have here next to me. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
First time in Romania?
Yeah, it's glorious. Bucharest's great.
Okay, how it is?
Yeah, really nice. Having a great time. It's going to be a fun week.
And how was the event, the crowd?
Really great. The crowd was really responsive. The atmosphere is great. The venue's awesome. There's loads of there was ice cream. That was exciting. No, it's really good.
Did you taste it?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I really enjoyed the talks today. Got to catch up with some friends like Carl Gillis, who's awesome. But saw some stuff, some new people like Ian. It's really, really great.
Okay, let's give those who are now watching this video a brief summary about your presentation on stage.
Sure. So I think there's a huge shift in how the web works, like at a deep, deep level. The technologies are changing, the way people build things is changing, and what websites are is changing. People have much higher expectations. Things need to be faster and more like apps and more engaging, more interactive. Consumer behavior is changing on top of that technology, and I think a lot of brands aren't really reacting to that. They're not ready for a world where people have higher expectations of their websites. That means people have worse experiences with websites. They're more likely to want to consume content and transact on places like WeChat, WhatsApp, Facebook. And maybe that means that our websites are less important. Maybe the way we think about marketing and getting people to your site and getting them to convert kind of misses the point. And as consumer behavior changes, maybe we need to look outwards rather than inwards. I think there's some really scary implications of that, especially when you also think about how machine learning systems and assistive devices like Google Home and Amazon Alexa add even more changes to how people behave. And it makes our content and our websites and our little castles less and less relevant because they're friction. Like, nobody wants to go to a website and look through e-commerce pages. Nobody wants to fill out conversion forms. That's a dysfunction of an earlier internet. And now we're entering a new age, and I don't think anyone's really thinking about how that's going to work.
Carl Gillis was mentioning earlier before that we should develop a customer-centric approach each step in our business strategy. That's what you're basically saying, right?
Yeah, but I want to go one step further forward. I think customer centricity is the idea that you target your group of people. I think we need to think bigger. I think we need to be audience-centric. I think we need to be creating content and messaging and things to engage a much wider pool, not just of our customers and the people who get to our websites, but the people who might influence our potential users or customers or journalists or the general populace. Like, we need to be building brands and content that's not just for our tiny little pool of people, but to be much broader.
In another interview, you were talking about the concept of distance to perfect. Can you please explain this a little bit for those who are now watching the video and perhaps don't understand it?
Sure. It's a great concept. So distance to perfect is the idea that instead of saying how good does this need to be and saying, okay, it needs to be 6 out of 10 before we launch it, or can we get it to 7 out of 10, you say, let's take a moment and understand what 10 out of 10 would look like. What does the perfect version of this look like? And then measure back and go, okay, how far are we away from that? And it radically changes the way that businesses think, because so many parts of business are based on what's the least we can spend to do as much as we need to get away with. Like, it's all based on minimum viable effort, minimum viable spend, minimum viable quality. When you start saying, how far away from perfect are we, people start to think, at least they might start to think,
okay,
can we get a bit further? Can we produce something better rather than can we do something good enough?
Something similar with the concept of, done is better than perfect, right? In
Yeah,
tech and
absolutely.
startups. Okay. There are approaches to the website that are more effective than others on different, competitive levels. What would be your top 3 approaches for technical SEO and, your top 3 for link building? This one is pretty, standard question, but
Sure.
let's see what's your take on this.
I think the tech stuff, there's a really easy answer. There are 2. One is speed and performance, which I'm personally a bit obsessed about at the moment, but I think for a long time the web has been slow, and the mobile web in particular, and now that's very high on Google's agenda. They're really, really pushing to educate, to get people to upgrade. They are pioneering new technologies, and many businesses still have slow websites and they're starting to suffer. So number one is sort out speed and performance, and there are 1,000 little things you can do. It's more efficient, it's more profitable, it converts more users. Google it's a win-win. The second thing for tech SEO is schema, structured markup. We released a update to Yoast SEO recently that generates huge amounts of connected structured data. So it says, not just here's a page full of text, but this is a web page about cats, and it was written by Jono, who works for this organization, who has these properties, and it connects it all so Google can understand that. That's a technology that's been around since 2012, 2013, but nobody's really ever adopted it to this extent. So any website, certainly e-commerce, any website that produces targeted, tailored content should be using schema markup to help describe what a page is about in a way that Google can understand it. And that gets you better search results, higher rankings, more click-through rate, stuff in the SERPs. It's a no-brainer. Link building, I only have one tip, which is don't do link building.
Don't do link building.
No,
Why?
So,
Okay.
but
Why? I'm very curious to hear that.
So I'm really passionately against link building. I think any scenario where you can spend money on getting links, whether that's by buying them directly or employing an agency, you are essentially buying links, and that's against Google's guidelines. Google don't want a world where I can exchange money for links, and if that goes through the hands of an agency, that's still buying links. I think what we should be doing is earning links and having products and services and brands that people link to, and that might mean that instead of, I don't know, say I'm a chicken restaurant, instead of going out and creating silly content about chicken and trying to get it in front of journalists, maybe I should train my chefs. Maybe I should have a better reputation. Maybe I should improve the ingredients. Maybe I should do something that's to the core of the thing that I am and have, that means that people talk about it and that they link to it.
I love that.
It's controversial.
It's a good argument for our clients.
Excellent.
I'm going to take that. I'm going to use it. Okay. I'd like to know how much until tools and robots are going to do all the SEO job and without human input.
Oh, I hope it's soon. I really hope it.
So, how much until robots and tools are going to take all these SEO efforts without any human input?
I really hope it's soon. I spend too much time fixing 404s and things. I talked about this at MozCon last year about how much time and money we burn as an industry just reinventing the wheel and fixing things. And some very prominent SEOs were saying something like up to 50% of their job was doing basic things that systems should do. Like, why are we creating 301 redirects? Why are we fixing errors? Why are we teaching developers to fix the canonical tags? All of that just needs to work. That's a big part of why I went to work at Yoast, because I think we can genuinely increase the baseline level of quality of the web. And then if SEOs can spend less time doing that sort of thing, maybe we can all become strategists and brand builders and reputation management people, and all the SEO stuff can just be handled in the background. That's not a productive use of anyone's time.
So basically the goal, the objective would be to have tools do all the repetitive or all the technical stuff, and you as a marketer to come with the creativity and copy strategy and stand out in various other ways, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's really interesting about this, I don't think it's a long way off. I think when you look at what Google are trying to achieve with AMP, for example, they've gone, the web is slow, the web is broken, people can't be trusted to build good websites. Let's change that standard and deploy our own thing. And then suddenly we live in a world where everybody's website just works. And if all we're doing at the moment is competing on who can have the least broken website, and then tomorrow everybody's website is fixed, that's a level playing field. And then if we're not ready to become creative thinkers and content strategists, then what are we doing?
Nice. That's a very nice one. What do you think are the biggest challenges for online shops in the voice search environment? How do you see the future of voice search, by the way?
I think voice is a little bit of a distraction. I think a lot of people focus on how do I rank first for voice search, how do I get feature snippets. I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. I think it's interesting to step back and look at why Google and Amazon are pushing so hard on voice when it's maybe not quite ready yet. It's because it's a huge potential market for them. And increasing the number of searches and changing habits where we don't search at the moment to make people search is a huge opportunity for them to show more ads, to get more whatever. I think the number one thing for voice and what Google are really pushing is schema markup. I talked about it already, but that's
is
the
what?
thing.
Sorry.
Structured data, schema markup.
Okay.
I think in order to get to a point where voice is the dream we've all been sold for voice, Google can't just crawl the web and extract content. They have to understand entities and their relationships. And to do that, they need structured data on pages. So I think if you're not already marking up all your content with the kind of rich structured data that says this is a product and this is its price and it's available in these countries and here's all of its properties, then you're going to find it harder and harder to turn up in not just voice search, but normal search. Like Google doesn't want to show a set of 10 results and listings. They want rich, interactive, fluid stuff, and to do that, they need that markup. And then voice is just a layer on top of that, but that's the interesting bit.
The next question wasn't on my initial list, but while I was listening to you, I was thinking that so many marketers out there speak about video marketing and video marketing strategies. What are some, tips and tricks or some must-haves, must-follow rules to make your videos rank better?
Use the Yoast SEO video plugin. No, I don't know a huge amount.
Okay.
I don't know a huge amount about video. I do know once again that there's schema for video, schema. Video is not my speciality, but it's certainly an interesting space. I think as consumers, we spend more and more time consuming content in video format. We're all on our mobile phones. We scroll through. I think the best thing you can do to learn more about video marketing is go and read everything and listen to all the talks by Phil Nottingham, who is ex-Distilled, really smart guy, currently at Wistia, but he knows more about video marketing than we all know about SEO combined.
And to give some very practical pieces of advice to those that are now watching the video, who are you following online, and you recommend us to follow as well?
A whole bunch of people. I live in Twitter. Always open. It's interesting. I think there's a few really stand out. So. I like the normal names you'd expect to hear. So Rand Fishkin's really good. My mind's just gone completely blank. Will Reynolds, who spoke this morning, who was excellent. Like, I'm interested in people who come up with original thoughts and new ideas. Avinash Kaushik in the analytics space.
Actionable content, perhaps, right?
Yeah, really. And they come up with new ways of thinking about stuff and spot new opportunities. And they're the first to kind of codify and decide what the new things are. Bill Swarsky, all of the Search Engine Land, Search Engine Journal people. I can't think of many kind of specific niche people. Dan Barker in the analytics space is really good for spotting new tactics and opportunities. Okay,
I think that's enough. It's good. We have a pretty nice list. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. I really hope you enjoyed Romania and the event, and I hope I'm going to see you very soon.
Cheers, thanks a lot.